In the chaos of war, not every threat comes from the enemy. Across decades and continents, soldiers have reported encounters with winged entities, creatures that defy explanation. In this video, we'll examine 10 real cases, ranked from the least to the most terrifying, where military personnel face something not entirely human. Number 10. During World War II, British Royal Air Force pilots began reporting unusual mechanical failures mid-flight. Fuel lines severed, controls jammed, and instrument panels flickering without cause. What stood out, however, were the stories that followed. Several pilots described seeing small winged creatures clinging to their aircraft. These beings, later dubbed Gremlins, were said to have clawed hands, glowing eyes, and a mischievous intent. Some claimed they sabotaged systems from the outside, others insisted they made it inside the cockpit. While officially dismissed as stress-induced hallucinations, the phenomenon was taken seriously enough that internal RAF documents addressed the growing belief among airmen. Psychologists cited extreme fatigue, oxygen deprivation, and wartime anxiety. But the consistency of the descriptions remains unsettling. Whether myth, mass delusion, or something else entirely, the Gremlin reports marked one of the earliest modern accounts of winged entities targeting military personnel from the sky. Number 9. In 1970, during the Vietnam War, a small group of U.S. soldiers stationed deep in the jungle reported a strange aerial presence hovering over their outpost. At first, they believed it was an enemy reconnaissance drone, but what they described didn't match any known aircraft. According to multiple accounts, the object moved in complete silence, circling slowly above the trees. One soldier opened fire, and the figure seemed to descend toward the camp. Moments later, they claimed to see what looked like a winged humanoid vanish into the night sky. No wreckage was found, and infrared scans picked up nothing unusual. The incident was logged briefly in a unit report, but never investigated further. While skeptics blamed stress and sleep deprivation, those who were there insisted it wasn't imagination. The size, the shape, and the unnatural movement of the entity left a lasting impression, one that some veterans refused to speak about for decades. Number 8. In 2002, during operations near the Tora Bora cave systems in Afghanistan, a U.S. Special Forces unit reported a brief but chilling encounter. According to sources later interviewed off-record, the team was investigating a suspected weapons cache when they noticed movement near the mouth of a cavern. What emerged was not a combatant, but a figure described as tall, humanoid, and equipped with massive bat-like wings. It reportedly stood upright before unfolding its wings and launching into the air with astonishing speed. The soldiers opened fire, but the creature vanished into the mountainous terrain. The entire event lasted less than a minute. While no official statement was ever released, some members of that team later spoke anonymously, claiming the incident was immediately classified and the site sealed. To this day, no footage has surfaced. Yet within certain military circles, the bat-winged humanoid of Afghanistan remains a whispered tale, one that blurs the line between battlefield myth and buried truth. Number 7. In 1966, at the Point Mugu Naval Air Station in California, military personnel reported a series of unusual sightings around a remote radar tower. The most striking account came from a night watchman who claimed to have seen a dark figure perch silently atop the structure. He described it as humanoid, with large wings folded behind its back and glowing red eyes that seemed to watch him. When the watchman called for backup and moved closer, the creature spread its wings and took off, silently, disappearing into the night sky. Other guards would later corroborate parts of the story, noting strange readings on radar equipment during the same time window. While no physical evidence was recovered, the incident was noted in base logs as a security anomaly. Though dismissed officially as a misidentified bird or drone, the description bore an eerie resemblance to another infamous entity, the Mothman. For those stationed there, it was a reminder that even secure military zones can become gateways to the unknown. Number 6. In 1999, a group of Mexican soldiers conducting night exercises in the desert of Chihuahua reported an encounter that would later make headlines and spark national debate. Using infrared and thermal imaging gear, the patrol spotted an aerial anomaly approaching their position at high speed. What they captured was not a drone or aircraft, but a floating figure that resembled a woman with distorted features and long black hair. The entity had no visible propulsion system and moved erratically, sometimes stopping mid-air. One soldier claimed he was physically attacked, describing a suffocating pressure and paralysis as the figure hovered above him. Others fired warning shots, but the entity showed no reaction before vanishing into the darkness. Thermal footage from the incident was leaked to local media and aired on national television. Skeptics dismissed it as a hoax or misidentification, but several members of the unit stood by their account. To this day, the Flying Witch of Chihuahua remains one of the most disturbing and well-documented military encounters with an unexplained aerial entity. Until now, most encounters involved fleeting shadows, strange shapes, and unexplained flight. But from this point on, the reports become more violent, more personal. The creatures didn't just appear, they attacked. Number 5. In the rugged mountains of Afghanistan, a controversial story circulated among U.S. troops, the alleged killing of a massive humanoid creature known as the Kandahar giant. But what's less known is what some soldiers claimed happened immediately after. According to secondhand reports, just moments after the red-haired giant was brought down, a second figure was seen emerging from a nearby cave, this one with wings. Described as tall, thin, and completely black, the being unfurled leathery wings and took flight before anyone could react. Witnesses said the creature let out a piercing screech as it disappeared into the canyon mist. Moments later, the cave entrance was sealed by military order, and communications from the site went dark. No official record confirms this account. But in declassified mission logs, there is mention of an unidentified aerial departure logged minutes after the Kandahar event. Whether myth or suppressed truth, this secondary entity haunts the legend, raising the possibility that the giant was not alone. Number 4. In the early days of the Iraq War, 2003, a strange incident was reported by a U.S. aerial surveillance unit stationed near Baghdad. During a night patrol, pilots picked up an unidentified flying object moving slowly over a residential area. Too slow to be a drone, too steady to be a balloon. As they closed in, the operators were stunned. The object appeared to be a human-like figure, floating upright, draped in what looked like a dark cloak. More disturbingly, it had wings, long and feathered, beating in slow, deliberate motions. Radio chatter captured the confusion in real time. One pilot asked if it was some kind of experimental flight suit. Another insisted it looked like a woman. As they approached, the figure abruptly changed direction, shot upward, and vanished from radar. The event was logged but never explained. Though never officially acknowledged, the flying woman over Baghdad remains an open mystery within veteran circles, described by some as angelic, and by others as something far more sinister. Number 3. In 1996, during a United Nations peacekeeping mission in Sierra Leone, a night patrol encountered something that would leave one soldier dead and several others traumatized. The unit had set up camp near a forested area when they began hearing an inhuman shriek echoing through the trees. At first, they assumed it was a bird or large bat, but as the sound grew louder, a massive flying shape emerged from the canopy, dark, humanoid, and emitting a high-pitched wail that reportedly caused physical pain. Panic broke out. One of the peacekeepers ran into the jungle and didn't return. When a search team found him hours later, he was barely alive, covered in scratches, eyes wide open, and unresponsive. He died of blood loss before reaching medical aid. An internal report noted psychological trauma following contact with unidentified aerial entity. Details beyond that remain classified. The surviving soldiers spoke little of what they saw, but among local villagers, stories of a winged predator that screams in the night had circulated for generations. The military had simply met what the region already feared. Number 2. In the 1980s, a French military expedition operating in the dense jungles of the Congo reported an aerial attack that defied all explanation. The unit was assisting in the construction of a temporary airstrip when, during a fog-covered morning, a massive flying creature swooped down from the treetops. Witnesses described it as reptilian, leathery wings, a long beak, and a wingspan of nearly 10 feet. One soldier screamed that it looked like a pterosaur, a prehistoric predator thought to have gone extinct millions of years ago. The creature struck without warning, slashing through tents and injuring 2 men. Another soldier, who tried to fend it off with his rifle, was dragged several meters before it released him and flew off. He died hours later from deep lacerations. The military's official statement blamed a large bird of prey, but the survivors didn't agree. They insisted what attacked them wasn't a bird, but something ancient. Local tribes call it Congo, the breaker of boats, a flying beast feared for generations. If the soldiers were right, it wasn't a legend at all. The previous encounters were violent, unexplained, and terrifying, but none had the digital footprint or psychological impact of what came next. Captured on thermal imaging in the middle of an active war zone, this final case is not just a story, it's a warning. Number 1. In the spring of 2022, during the early months of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, a Ukrainian reconnaissance team near Chernihiv reported something beyond the horrors of war. While monitoring a forested area with thermal imaging equipment, they detected a heat signature, tall, humanoid, and airborne. At first, they assumed it was a drone or enemy scout in a glider suit, but as the figure approached, it became clear. This thing had wings, but no mechanical parts, no exhaust, no noise. It moved with unnatural fluidity and hovered above the tree line, watching them. Soldiers reported intense disorientation. One began convulsing and had to be evacuated. Another fired in panic before collapsing. The entity remained motionless for nearly a full minute, then vanished straight upward at impossible speed. A short clip from the thermal camera was leaked online, but was quickly taken down. Those who saw it described a humanoid shape with massive wings and glowing joints, something that didn't match any known technology or life form. Locals later referred to it as a Chorny Lyochik, the Black Flyer. Whether myth, weapon, or something else entirely, one thing is certain: the soldiers who saw it wish they hadn't.